थोड़ा सा एक्चुअली सेटअप में भी इशू है, सो ठीक है. So dear student, once again, very good evening to all of you. So this session we are going to see an essay that is being asked in your previous year, OPSC. So the question is, freedom is not mere absence of restraint. So what is the meaning of this essay? That is what you have to write at the starting of your essay. See? So that means, if just remove the restraint, that means remove the restriction is not about the freedom. Freedom is more than that, the restriction. I'm giving an example. Let's say we are, all of a sudden giving all this freedom to the women to do whatever they want to do. Do you think that they are going to do it? No, because there is a social restriction, there is, patriarchy, there is lack of skills. Just same way, if you're thinking like, disabled, if we are giving all sort of freedom to a disabled to do whatever they want to do you think that they are going to do anything? Answer is no, because disabled, they need special care. If you are not giving tricycle, if you are giving bicycle, it is not going to helpful to them. So that means just by removing the restriction, restraint, or just by removing all this problem they are facing, it is not going to have the freedom. Freedom means we have to go ahead one step ahead to provide all round development, then only we can see a real freedom. Okay, so hope you are able to understand what is the core essence of this essay. Okay, once you are understanding the essay, so in your introduction, you can start from an anecdotes. What kind of anecdotes I am discussing here? Listen very carefully. You will get a lot of insights. देखो, after abolition of slavery in United States. So United States, no doubt, after their civil war, they abolished the slavery system, and there is no such slavery is legally valid. But the slavery, all the slaves, they are free. They can do whatever they want to do. They can be, they can come out of their job of this slavery system, and they do whatever they like to do. But problem is that after, let's say, 5 6 weeks, they again return back to their master and begging for work. Why this has happened despite having all this, absence of the restraint? Because this slave not having any lands, they don't have any skills, they don't have any, property right. So they know only one thing, that is working with their master. So in initially case, they don't have any restraint, so they can do whatever they want to do. But because of lack of their capability, lack of their skills, lack of their assets, so they don't have any other option but to work with their master. So this is what you can start in your anecdotes. I'm not saying this story you have to write. You can use any story. You can use the story of the tribals, you can use the story of women, you can use the story of the disabled also. So that is what you can start. So you can see, after the abolition of the slavery in United States, thousands of freed slaves left the plantation, but many returned within the weeks. Some even begged for the farm, for one master to take them back. They had gained the freedom to go anywhere, yet they had no land, no money, no skills recognized outside the plantation economy, and no social network to survive on their own. So legally unshackled, they remain practically bound not by the chain but by the circumstances. So that is what the core essence of this essay. It is not only absence of the restraint, it is about the capability, it is about the facilitation, it is about your skills development. That is what, if we can ensure, then only we can get the real freedom. Okay, after writing this anecdotes, so this kind of anecdotes you have to write to link as per the demand of the essay. Then what we have to do, we have to connect a line to explain these anecdotes with the core demand of the question. So you can see this anecdote capture the heart of the given topics. Here we have talking about two types of liberty. One liberty is negative liberty. Negative liberty means just absence of the restraint. That means you are having all free, there is no restriction on you. But even if you have no restriction, but you don't know, you don't have the skills, you don't have the money, you don't have the resource, you don't have the connection, you don't have the support system, then you are not going to do anything. Okay, so that is what negative liberty. But what we have to do for the real freedom, we have to ensure positive liberty. What is the meaning of the positive liberty? Freedom to realize one's potential. To realize your potential, you need your skill. So your potential can be, you can be a good leader, you can be a good politician, you can be a good civil servant. But how that is going to be possible? If you are getting this good quality of education, good support, good skilling, then only you will be able to realize that. Okay, so freedom from, you can see, the backed by real capability, opportunity, and self mastery. So Amartya Sen carry this further with his capability approach. Freedom, he argued, must be measured not by the right of one formally hold, but by the real opportunity functioning. So Amartya Sen very well explained that the freedom is not about the right we are giving, it is about the choice we are giving. For example, what is the real freedom for disabled person is different from a normal person. If you are giving bicycle to everyone, then it is not a meaning, it is not going to be helpful to the disabled person. Disabled person need a tricycle. Here you need to give this freedom, you need to give the choice to the disabled person. So that is what Amartya Sen is talking about, capability approach. So we need to increase the capability of each and every person so that that person can utilize to grow, go anyway. Okay, so that capability can be improved by providing education, health, nutrition, skills, institutional capability, grievance redressal. That is what we are going to see later part of it. Okay, so this essay basically talks about we need to move from negative liberty, just absence of restraint, to facilitate that person to benefit of the society and realize their full potential. Okay, this is what connecting line you have to write after this anecdote. So then you can see after that you have to write from, this is what the connecting line from body to intro to a body. So I have written a connecting line from intro to your body. You can see this in this essay. We shall examine the idea across both temporal. Temporal means time scale. That means ancient, medieval, modern, world history, contemporary history also. From ancient civilizations through the medieval, colonial, contemporary period, and special skills. Special skills means different dimension. It can be geography, it can be, society, different dimension of your subject, polity, economy. This is called special dimension. Okay, so starting from different dimension, we are going to see. So here, starting from the introduction, we have written anecdotes, then connecting the introduction with the anecdotes with the demand of the essay. So you have linked what is you have written with the demand of the essay. Then this is second anecdote we are writing with our introductions to the body. This is what connecting our introduction with the, this is what our introduction, this is what our body. And after that, you have to shift to the body. So you have to starting from the, you have to write starting from the historical dimension. You can see the ancient Athens. So Athens is the, you can see the first democracy. They have granted the citizenship and voting rights to its citizenship. Okay, all the citizen, not all citizens, they have granted the voting right and democracy, but they have excluded large number of women, slaves, and foreigners. Okay, so this is just, they are just giving absence of restraint, but that is what led to the revolt, and ultimately they removed their monarchy. Okay, but freedom was never made universal. So you can see, just by absence of restraint is not going to have real freedom. Real freedom means we have to go extra step to give the capability, to give the freedom to the people to they realize what freedom meant to them. Okay, so same time you can see in medieval time there is a bhakti and Sufi movement. So they have tried to reform our society, they try to reform our religious to bring equality in the society. Okay, provoke ritual restraint, but they have they have removed the restraint, because earlier, before the, you can see the Bhakti and Sufi movement, our society was quite rigid, but because of this influence, so our society gradually reformed and people accepted that. But just by removing the restraint is not going to remove this women, women, caste and religious, all this discrimination. So for that we need to go beyond, but they cannot persist beyond. So that is the reason they're not able to remove all this caste restriction. That is what you have to write. Same thing happened with the French Revolution. I think you know about French Revolution. French Revolution, they abolished the feudal system and then formed, the monarchy. They gradually formed the republic also. So all these things, they basically remove the restraint, not developing the democratic capability of the people. So that is what led to the rise of Napoleon, and Napoleon became very autocratic, and again they face all sort of chaos and all. Okay, so that is what you can see. All the themes we are writing, same thing. Just absence of restraint is not going to be help. We have to go beyond that and increasing the capability of the people. Then only you can see. Same thing happened in the Arab Spring. So Arab Spring started against all this autocratic ruler in the Arab state. So gradually this, this Arab Spring spread across the, all this country of WANA. This is what called WANA, North West Asia, North Africa. This is called WANA, West Asia and North Africa. Gradually all these, country, there is a revolt, there is a people protest for democracy. And ultimately they toppled some of the autocracy or dictator, but after that they have not able to establish democracy there. You can take example, lot of country there, so they are not able to have successful democracy in Syria, Iraq. So there are a lot of things are going on. Why this has happened? This has happened because they simply remove the restraint without developing their capability of their people. So that is what the core essence, that is what they require. Okay, you can see long standing dictatorship across the West Asia, North Africa. removing the decades of authoritarian restraint, yet the Libya, Syria, Yemen, the collapse of the older order gave way to the civil war, economic collapse, new military rule. You're proving that falling of the restraint does not by itself deliver the freedom. So what we require, we need to have the capability of the people. What kind of capability? People need to understand democratic value. Then only this kind of the Arab Spring or want to establish a democratic system will be survive and sustain. Okay, same you can see in the societal dimension also. So you can see, for example, we have implemented Article 17 that basically want to abolish untouchability and provide equality to the all. But despite our constitution is implemented in 1950, you can see so many years, more than 70 years are there, so still the untouchability is prevalent. Why this is? Because we are simply implementing that through mighty of the law, but society not yet ready. So that means we are removing the restraint but not giving this positive incentive for. Yes, yes, yes. Tarun, please. Tarun, कुछ पूछ रहे हो? Okay, no issue.
Sir,
so that is what we can say. Though, हाँ बिलास कुछ बोल रहे हो?
sir, when joining and leaving, some beep sound is coming. Can it be muted?
I don't know. Not now. Maybe. Let's see. Let's see.
Okay, sir. Leave it. Leave it.
1 second. बस हो जाएगा. Meeting से. चलिए करते हैं. थोड़ी. Okay, so you can see Article 17, they try to abolish untouchability. But do you think that by removing this restraint, promoting equality, everything has happened? No, even now in urban area, all these cities, all this, you can see the garbage, it is being cleaned by this even untouchability, like lower caste. That means though law is providing, removing all this restriction, there is no imposition of restriction, but still our custom, still our tradition, still they persist them to do that. You can see Indian Constitution abolished untouchability in absolute term 1950. No restraint could be clear in the law. So yet the incident of Dalit being banned from the temples, even now, even the famous constitutional post to the position of the president when after visiting a particular temple, I don't know whether it is right or wrong. This information I've heard from some of my friend. I'm not yet verified that. So after visiting particular temple, so the temple is they clean the temple. So this information I'm not sure. So some of my friend they used to tell me these things. I'm not sure this things, but this things is actually prevalent. And SOP continue to surface part of the rural India even today. Okay, so that is what we can say. Mere absence of restraint or not going to happen. So we need to change the mindset. We need to bring reform. We need to empower the weaker section. So then only we can remove this untouchability. Okay, you can see same thing happen in the Savitri Bai Phule opening. First school in girls school in the Pune in 1848. No start to forbid women from studying. Yet the patriarchal customs, absence of the real opportunity, not law. So they don't allow their women to educate. You can see, though there are no restriction, but yet it is the society, it is the restriction that is what hamper the educations. Same in case of polity also. So if you see about the fundamental right, what it is talking about, fundamental right is talking about absence of any restraint. So this is what acting negative against the states. State cannot violate your right. So this is what negative imposing restriction on the state, and you don't have there is no restraint on your right. So that is what. And what is about the DPSP actually want to promote your socio-economic right. So we can say that the mere absence of restraint is about the fundamental right, and it is go beyond that to promote socio-economic right for all-round development of individual. So this is what very clearly mentioned in our DPSP, in our the fundamental and DPSP of Indian Constitution. You can add this point. Okay. So next you can see in the good governance. Governance dimension. Governance basically want to achieve what given in the fundamental right. Fundamental right is given, right to life. But do you think that right to life is possible without having a right to work, right to food, okay, a right to healthy environment? So good governance want to achieve that. You can see good governance convert constitutional freedom into administrative reality by removing a patriarchal barrier that restrain focus thinking overlook. You can see Right to Information Act. Just by knowing your right, what are the entitlement, what your right, definitely you can make the government accountable if they fails to deliver something. Okay, so that is what you can give these examples. A lot of examples I have written here. Just read so you'll understand. So next is international dimension. You can see a lot of countries they have decolonized from the colonial past from the Britain or other European countries. So after their decolonization, so they are not able to sustain their freedom for long because they are political sovereign, but they are still depends on economy and institution for their colonial master. So that is the reason you can see even after 60 70 year of decolonization, the African countries still depends on the Europe and America for extraction of their resource for their economy. So that is what happens. So just by removing the restraint, just by removing the colonial government, it is not going to happen unless otherwise we are developing the capability of their institution, their manpower, skilling, everything, infrastructure, then only they can get the real freedom. Still, the African country, they have to either get they get support from the European country or USA or now the new entrant is the China. So that is what the problem they are facing. Okay, so that is what you can argue. Just by removing the restraint means colonial ruling is not going to happen unless otherwise we are developing their local capability. You can give the example of India also. All our interaction with the African country, it is not on the basis of resource extraction. We are maintaining very good relation, people to people contract. We are giving their skilling their peoples. We are developing their institution like education, health, nutrition. We are developing their roads. So that is what we can say. The capability approach that we are following is definitely going to give freedom to these African countries. Okay, that is what you can discuss. So next is social justice dimension. You can see the reservation and affirmative actions. Just by removing the untouchability and providing the law, it is not going to have any positive impact. If you are giving reservation, so that means you are letting the weaker sections to climb the ladder to become the equal, because the centuries of discrimination that has been meted out to the on you can say weaker sections, they need the support. Okay, so that is what we can say. Reservation and affirmative actions in India rest on the premise that the formal equality of opportunity is meaningless without correcting historic on freedom. So Ambedkar repeated instances on the legislative and education, public employment. So reservation we are providing in three things. Reservation we are providing in education, job, promotion, and election. जब भी whenever you are writing, you should have that clarity, key structural clarity. Key, this is what we are providing. Okay. So just by removing all this restraint, like providing legal equality, like Article 17, abolition of untouchability, is nothing going to happen, because there is a historical unjust, because the land is concentrated on the upper caste. So it is not going to give equality. That means political, you can say political right is meaningless unless otherwise people are having socio-economical equality, or political equality is meaningless unless it is rest on the socio-economical equality. So that is what the social justice dimension we can say. But just removing the restraint is not going to be sufficient. What we need to empower socially and economically. For that, we are providing a reservation and affirmative actions. Okay. Then you can talk about the economic dimension. I think if I'm going to ask this question, do you think that farmer is having any you can say constraint of selling their product to produce to any particular merchant? No, there is no restraint. If you see normal term, there is no restraint. But if you see market condition, the structure of the market, then definitely yes. If you see, the farmer can only go to the mandis, farmer can only go to the APMC, farmer can only sales at the MSP designated mandi. So that means in a way there is no restraint on the farmer. They can sell to anyone. But if you look that the restraint is actually not giving them the freedom, because though they don't have restraint, but the structure of the market, the structure of the infrastructure, the structure of the law legal system in a way that the farmer is having no other option but to sell that person even if it is paying very less amount. I think if you are producing something vegetables like that, so you have to sell that in APMC mandis. You cannot sell outside even if you are getting more money. So that is what you can say. Farmer is formally to farmer formally free to sell all their produce to any buyers. Yet the fragmented land holding, absence of the storage infrastructure, and lack of assurance price frequently leave them at the mercy of handful trader. Dekho, if a farmer is producing, let's say huge amount of tomato, but there is no storage facility available at the house of the farmer. But farmer is at that time is no other option but to sell at the market, and sometimes the trader misuse and give very less price to the farmer because they know that farmer is having no other option but to sell that product. Okay, that is what you can discuss about. Same thing with the science and technology dimension. Here you can see we are implementing digitalization and lot of technology, and because of that it is helping a lot. I think if you remember, so I think if I'm going to recall about me, so last 2 years I've never ever visited to bank. So now recently I visited 2 or 3 banks. So they have told me you have not updated your account detail for last 2 years. Because of this technology, no need to visit this bank. Okay, so that is what everything happened at the mobile or at your home. So this is what the comfort, the time, the energy that we are saving because of digital technology. But thing is that just by having this removal of all this restriction of going to they are physically present, they are not benefiting everyone. It is benefiting those who are educated, those who are able to adopt it. But those who are not able to adopt, like digital divide, rural area, don't who not having proper internet, so they suffer a lot. So here absence of restraint of presenting physically at the banking is not going to help to these people. So instead of that, if positively we can contribute, now you can see, even I can see my father, they also use all this mobile application banking in the the vernacular language like Odia language, other language. So that is what we can see by translating all these digital things into local language. Definitely it helping a lot. Same thing happen, this is also a source of entertainment, social media for the elderly also. So we can see the absence of restraint plus positive contribution like developing the skills, making it accessible to the regional language, definitely giving more freedom to our people, those who are staying in the rural area, those who are otherwise not having any access to anything. So they are getting a lot of benefits. That is what you can talk. If we are developing something, we are not only removing the restraint plus developing skill, developing the capability, it is going to be help our people a lot. Okay, you can just give this example. The next is internal security dimension. Dekho, in tribal area, sometimes tribals they revolted when they see that the government is intervening too much in their internal affairs. Okay, this is what happened. But in the tri-junction area of India, if you see a tri-junction area like this Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, Odisha, and this region. So this Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, and Odisha, this tri-junction area. So they are least governed. So because it's border area, no one is concerned about that. And this area is flourished by all. This area is a breeding ground for all this left-wing extremism to flourish there. But do you think that this absence of restraint by the government led to the positive freedom to these tribal people? Answer is no, because here the left-wing extremism they breeds here, they threaten here, they coerce the people, and because of this left-wing extremism, so this tribal area are now backward because the left-wing extremism believe that backwardness is a breeding ground for their movement to continue. Whenever there will be development, left-wing extremism will be vanished. So you can see absence of restraint is not giving here the freedom. Rather, the moment you can give the example of what is that area, I think Swabhiman Anchal. So we have developed the Guru Priya Setu and bridge and all. So after, it is not about restraint, but also about contributing development, connectivity, and those who are once, part of this left-wing movement. So they are now joining the political local self-government and contributing to the political, the movement here. So that is what you can talk about. Not only restraint, it is about the freedom, developmental approach, and democracy, local self-government definitely bring positive outlook to security and development. You can give the example of Swabhiman Anchal. Once this land is dotted with the landmines and this land is cultivated, the ganja and all. So now this land is flourishing with the cultivation of GI tag haldi. Okay, so that is what the transformation is really a remarkable. So you can write here. Okay. The next is environmental and disaster dimension. Here also we can see on restraint exploitation of environmental and disaster. Definitely it's going to be impact our environment negatively. Okay. So what we can do, we have to regulate it. Okay. So it's not about we have to follow the sustainable development. We have to think about the future. We have to think about a way that this earth we have not inherited from our father or grandfather. So it is the debt that we have taken from our future generation. We have to not only give back whatever we have inherited, but we have to contribute plus. For example, whenever you are taking loan of 1 lakh, so you have to not only pay the 1 lakh, but some interest. So that is what we have to do here. So here this is talking about. So next is ethics moral. If you see, So freedom is incomplete without an inner capacity of self-mastery. So if you see about the Gandhiji, what is the meaning of Swaraj? Swaraj is having two meaning. It is not only about the external freedom, it is also about the internal freedom. External freedom means removing the Britisher and establishing self-rule. It is also removing our negativity within us. What kind of negativity we are having? Our desire, fear, prejudice. So that is what, if we are doing, then we can say we are having self swaraj. Okay, so this is what we can say. The absence of restraint, absence of removal of all your freedom is not going to work unless otherwise our mind is polluted, our thinking is polluted, we are corrupted. So for real freedom to achieve, what we need, not only restraint from the external sphere, also restraint from our internally. We have to be moral, we have to be ethical. So that is what Gandhiji talking about, the meaning of the real swaraj. Okay, that is what you have to talk, you have to discuss that. So after discussing all these things, so sometime here we have to give some way forward, how we are going to promote from negative concept of liberty, or you can say the you can say how we can promote that positive freedom. So okay, so from absence of restraint to the positive freedom we have to promote. So you have to discuss here. So Amartya Sen, I think you know about the capability approach, you can discuss here. So upper clearest compass of closing the gap between formal means just absence of restraint, substantive matlab real freedom. Real freedom means it is not only about the abolition of the slavery, but also give them the training, give them the land, give them the opportunity, so that they will not attach to their master, they will live independent life, respectful life. आप मुझे बताओ, you can tell me the we have passed the law for abolition of manual scavenger in 2013. There is a law that prohibit the employment of manual scavenger in 2013, and we have also prohibited construction of unsanitary latrine in 2013 also. But still, I think in last 10 years you can see large number of people have died by cleaning this the toilet and sewage manually. So why this has happened? This has happened because this people, those who are lower caste, they don't have any options. They are having two options, either to involve this occupation or die in hunger. So they prefer to do these things. Okay, so that is what we need to give the freedom to the people. If they don't do all this manual scavenging, they can given the skill, they can given the finance, they can given the land, so that they can involve in the other occupations. Okay, why child labor is persist in India? So despite having so much so many law, because the family have no other option to feed their child, they have to involve in the child labor. देखो, जब आपके पास पैसा ही नहीं है, आपको एक चीज है कि भूखा जब रहती है ना, तो आपके पास समझ में नहीं आती, you have to involve and earn the money. So your first priority is feeding yourself, and child labor is happen, poverty is the biggest reason of the child labor. Okay, so that is what we can say. So first one, what kind of stick that we are going to do so that we can bridge this formal, the absence of restraint to real development. First is investment in human capability. If the people are having good, you can see quality education, skills, good health, nutrition, and social safety nets, then all their restraint they can convert that into real opportunity. For example, if there is a good system that provide you a loan for starting a startups, if there is a good system that support you for development of sports, that development of your business, that development of your education. So if there is a good system that provides cheap loans for your education, so that means you can do education, you can complete medical education, you can be a doctor. So that means there is a social mobility. So that is what we have to invest in human capabilities, so that people what they want to do they can easily achieve. There should not be any restriction. Second thing, that what we want to do, institution must be designed to convert entitlement into delivery. Dekho, just by saying that you will get information, you will get the food, you will get the forest right is meaningless unless otherwise there is solid backing implementation. So that is what we have to have, a grievance redressal mechanism. If your right is not being whatever your entitlement, if you are not getting, then you should raise a complaint, and there should be a proper grievance redressal. If not happen, then there should be proper punishment. I think this is a right to public service delivery act. So that is what top provide provision for, meant for delivery of service in a time bound manner. So that is what you can write here. This kind of right based approach we need, that convert our entitlement to the practical reality. Okay, so next is social attitude requires sustain generational change alongside legal reform. Dekho, you can see the legal reform we can implement, but to have the ground level changes we need change in social attitude. So we have the dowry system, we have abolished in 1960. I think बहुत पुराना law है, but still in 2020 people are taking the dowry. Why this is? Because the law follow very fast, but society follow a little bit of lagging. So we need to bring reform in the mindset of the society so that there will be real freedom in the society itself. For example, there is a law that the both daughter and son are equal, will get equal right in the property. But I don't think 90% of women not have this property right. Why? Law is providing that, but society is not getting that. Okay, you can say law is showing the direction, but society is moving little bit of lag. Okay, so that is what happens. So next is economy policy must be combined with market freedom with capability building and safety net. So for example, skilling, skill missions, social safety net for informal gig worker, support for the small holder farmer. For example, here we can give them a Kishan credit card. So whenever they need money, they can go to the ATM and then withdraw that, and they will have to pay 4-5% of interest rate per year. If they are taking 1 lakh loan, they can pay 1 lakh 4,000 or 5,000 instead of if they are taking from informal lending. So they have to pay 60,000. That means at the end of the year they have to pay 1.6 lakhs. So that is just less exploitative, and this farmer we can give them real freedom. So they, if you are taking money from a money lender, then you have to sell them and you have to obey their terms and conditions. So here, if you are taking loan from the institutional borrower like bank, so you have the freedom, the way you want to implement, you can implement. So that is what they are talking about at the individual and civilization levels. So ethical education, civic culture must be nurtured alongside institutional reform. So this is what the 4-5 steps if we are taking. So definitely we can convert absence of restraint to real freedom that we can provide. So after that way forward, you have to conclude. So generally a way of concluding is starting from a quote. If you're not able to remember, then it's okay. Just write that, Nelson Mandela observed that to be free is not merely cast off one's chains. Just by removing chain is not the free, but to live in a way that respect and enhance the freedom of others. So we have to have the capability so that after the freedom we can live in a respectable way. So freedom in this sense, not a single act of release, but continuing projection of capability, opportunity, and character. Then here you can see whatever I have started in the anecdotes, I have linked here at the end. तो आपने देखे होंगे बाहुबली में क्या बोला था कि बाहुबली को क्यों मारा, एट द एंड में उन्होंने स्टोरी का आपको कंक्लूजन बताया. सेम थिंग यू हैव टू आल्सो डू हियर आल्सो. So we return finally to the freed slave standing at the edge of the plantation, free to walk in any direction, yet with nowhere he could actually go. His story is not a relics of 19th century. That means this is not the past incident. This incident happened at now. So it's repeated wherever right is granted without meant to exercise it. Whenever a chain is broken without ladder is due in its place. The true measure of freedom then as now is not merely absence of restraint, but presence of a real equal capability to drift the life one has the reason to value. So that is what you have to talk about. So this is all about this essay. So I am turning on the mic. So if you have any doubt, you can ask me. Okay? Yes. Hello. Are you able to understand ना? इसको बुझी पाले ना तो? Hello.
हाँ सर,
किसी
क्लियर.
डाउट अछि? किसी डाउट अछि एसे ऊपर कहबेनी मैं आपन कहि दे पारिबे. देखो बेसिकली essay is talking about, it's not about just removing restraint is not going to happen anything. If you are just removing, then people will not achieve their real freedom. So we need to give some additional things. So that is what the essence. So you can start your essay with writing an anecdotes. After this is what anecdote I have given. You can give the anecdote of women also. So despite having so many skills, education opportunities, still you can, if you see the labor force participation rate is not that good. The same thing you can give about the transgender also. You can give about the disabled also. Any weaker section you can give. This is what not happened. It's because of just we are just removing the restriction, but we are not positively contribute for their freedom. So that is what you have to give the argument. Then after this anecdote, so you have to link this meaning of the anecdotes with the topic given. So here I have explained and linked it. Then this is what the connecting line that I have written, my introduction with the body. And in this body, you have to start from the history. Then you have to move like your UPSC like UPSC and OPSC GS paper, starting from history, then society, then environment or geography, then you have to move polity. In polity, there are 4 parts. First is constitution polity, then governance, international relation, okay, social justice and society. Then you have to talk about that. Then you have to move to the GS paper 3, economy, science and technology, okay, security and environment. You have to discuss there. Then you have to go to the ethics paper, and here it is, we have to talk about, we have to move from absence of restraint to real freedom. So you have to add some additional terms. Here you are, negative liberty to positive liberty. So how we are going to jump from the negative liberty to positive liberty? So there you have to add some way forward. So that is the reason I have added 4 5 way forward. So what are the way that we are going to achieve? So one by one I have written investing in human capital, then institution must design to convert the entitlement to delivery, then social attitude we need to change. Okay, so all these things I have written. Then in the conclusion, generally you can conclude by writing a quote. So generally it is believed, if you are able to remember, that's okay. Otherwise just summing off, okay, so you can say something if you know that, and at the end you have to link this incident of slavery incident we have seen. This is not the incident of the this is not only the incident of the past, even in the current incident same thing is continue, because we are just giving the absence of restraint, we are removing the restraint, we are not empowering the people. So without empowerment, restraint is having no value. That is the reason our founding father of our constitution, they have very well crafted, very well said by the Ambedkar, that political democracy is not going to last unless there is having socio economical democracy at its best base. So देखो, I have written in a good way, and at the end I am referring to the anecdote that I am writing. Okay, so that is the way you can write your answer. So, and keep your answer very simple. Don't use so many difficult words which is very difficult to understand for anyone. Okay, so this is all about this essay. So if you have any doubt, please go ahead and ask me.